When teachers and parents are facing challenging behaviors, they want to find the perfect strategy to help the child. This isn't easy. Intervention strategies are planned responses that help adults be more intentional.
As children use behaviors over and over, they create pathways in their brains. These pathways are sort of like a trail you might see in a park. Most children use positive behaviors to build well-worn pathways that help them meet their needs.
Behaviors are learned, and what reinforcement is that brain is building up sort of like spider webs, we call them neural networks of learning. And the stronger that is, the more the child can remember it. So what reinforcement is do it again and again and again, and that way the child can automatically go to that behavior rather than having somebody there all the time to have to direct.
But when children get in the habit of using negative behaviors to meet their needs, the pathways need to be redirected. This can be difficult.
The reason that things have not been working is because it's reflexive, it's automatic, and it means that there are some neural networks that have already been reinforced negatively, and we have now to interrupt that. And that's not easy. Behavior is not that easy.
If a child is getting what he wants over and over by the use of a negative behavior, why would he change that behavior? Our goal as teachers is to show the child a better, less disruptive way to get what he wants, to make changing worthwhile. This is the purpose of intervention strategies. Traditionally, adults have used discipline as a means of encouraging children to change the way they behave. But discipline can mean different things to different teachers.
I think it's really important to define the difference between discipline and punishment and understand the way adults usually respond to that behavior. If I think that it's my job to stop a misbehavior, then the conversation becomes framed around that misbehavior. But in fact, discipline is teaching and training. So when we define challenging behaviors, we have to back up one step and look at what it is the teacher does ahead of time.
Planning ahead to be intentional with challenging behaviors means having response strategies ready to use when the behavior appears. Without a strategy, teachers can easily get caught in a negative reinforcing cycle.
It's really important to understand that when teachers don't have effective strategies to guide behavior, proactive strategies, redirection strategies that work, they revert to punitive practices. It's not my opinion. Those are the facts, again, from the body of research that we have. I want to clarify that a punitive reaction is punishment. Punishment means to inflict purposeful pain. We might not hit the child, of course, but we might embarrass the child or call out his or her name. What we need to recognize and talk about in our profession is the fact that when we punish a child by removing him or her, by embarrassing him or her, we in fact cause a result that's the opposite from the one that we want. The child who feels punished has this emotional response and can only do one of two things. Either turn that response inward and feel worse about himself, or turn that response outward and become resentful of the teacher. The other thing is that if we use a punitive response, it shows or brings to light our misunderstanding about children's behavior. It shows us that teachers believe our role in misbehavior or challenging behavior is to stop it. And in fact, teachers engage in a cycle of stopping misbehavior over and over. And they end up feeling like the behavior police, and so they're not enjoying their day with the child. When I become the behavior police and it becomes my job to stop your misbehavior, I am making you, the child, dependent on external sources for internal self-regulation. My stopping your misbehavior, maybe by raising my voice or interfering in some way, it does stop the behavior temporarily. But then tomorrow, that same behavior reoccurs, and I say to myself, I stopped that behavior yesterday, we talked about that yesterday, so I can only come to one conclusion. If I feel it's my responsibility to stop the behavior, then I think there's something wrong with the child. And unfortunately, in our profession, we have moved towards this idea that there is something wrong with children that needs to be fixed.
What's important to remember is every behavior is communication. It's communicating something. It's either avoiding something, trying to get access to something, trying to emote something. And so, although they're extremely frustrating at times when you're in the moment, if you're able to dial back for just a minute and see what kind of led to it, oftentimes you're able to kind of build some supports and strategies in that will help alleviate those behaviors, because you know what the cause is, what the motivation is for the behavior that child's showing.
When your focus is on the cause of the behavior and your response, rather than the behavior itself, you can more easily separate yourself from the emotion that can lead to instinctive, unplanned responses which may disrupt your goals. Intervention strategies work best when they're focused on what you want the child to do instead of using challenging behavior. This new, more positive way of acting is called a replacement behavior.
We would see behavior starting to break down. And rather than let that behavior get to a point where it wasn't productive, we would have to figure out something for him to do. We would have to get him to buy in. So we would put on a great big excited voice. We would call his name and say, come on over here, I need some help. I need you to help me with something. And of course, he was looking for attention. You know, he was looking for somebody to pay attention to him. Believing in children and finding ways to support children in a way that they look forward to being called upon.
Engagement is often the best replacement behavior, and a very effective intervention strategy too. Most strategies depend on consistency, different adults responding the same way over time. Scripts, written guides or reminders about how to respond, can be a practical tool for teachers.
Early childhood teachers are real busy. You're doing 500 things at a time. You're dealing with this problem, you're looking at the clock, lunch is coming in, something else is happening, somebody lost their shoe, and you're doing a lot. So a lot of what we do is just very fast reflex. When I was learning new scripts and when I worked with classrooms learning new scripts, we would learn one at a time, such as, it looks like two children are having a problem. And we would put that script on a sentence strip high up on the wall, not in the area where children's work would be, but really right up there by the ceiling. And we would remind ourselves to constantly do that script, do that script, do that script. And once we've learned one script, we would take that down and put another script up, because it needs to start coming naturally.
When you first implement a strategy, it may feel it will never come naturally. But as you practice the strategy and find your own way of making it work, gradually the strategy and a related group of planned responses will become part of what you do. That's what it means to be an intentional teacher.
I think the process of becoming intentional can empower a teacher when they have the skills and the knowledge to know what to do. Just becoming intentional but not knowing what to do can almost disempower, and that's why developing skills and learning how to respond to a child's challenging behavior and having lots of tools in your toolbox, because it's not just one strategy that's going to work for all kids, but having tools in your toolbox and something that you believe in and that you know you can make work definitely empowers teachers when they encounter a child with challenging behavior.
Okay, we're hiding from a dog. You got a phone. Oh, you want to hide in here too? Okay.